Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In the last week, mainstream stories that have dominated the news headlines are the San Bernardino, California shooting, which was first blamed on three white athletic males, but by day's end was a married Middle Eastern couple. And also at this same time, two stories have emerged in Chicago out of seemingly nowhere. Supposedly, both stories took place October 2014, but the details weren't released until late November, early December of this year, 2015. And those are the stories of the shooting of young black youth named Ronald Johnson and the other Laquan McDonald. Notice the Ronald McDonald. And if you're not aware, San Bernardino is the home of the first McDonald's restaurant. On screen is Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc is the founder of McDonald's, who opened the first McDonald's restaurant in San Bernardino, California. He hailed out of the Chicago area. Right now, we have a story or multiple stories involving Chicago, San Bernardino, and shootings. And if you're not aware, one of the worst gun massacres in the history of the nation happened at the San Ysidro McDonald's on the date of July 18th, 1984. Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, had died earlier that year, January 14th, 1984. San Bernardino, California in Gematria sums to 114. Think about how the date January 14th, 1/14 looks a lot like 114. The shooting at the McDonald's in California came exactly 187 days later. In California, the homicide code for police is 187. The shooting date, July 18th, in lots of parts of the world, they write the day before the month. So that date is 18/7, a lot like 187. And just to make sure this isn't a coincidence, McDonald's is headquartered in Oak Brook, Illinois. Oak Brook, Illinois in Gematria sums to 187. So what I want to do real quick is I want to break and I want to watch the news coverage from 1984. Truth Seeker, this was a hoax in 1984, a shooting hoax, much like they're giving to us now once a week in the year 2015, 31 years later. Let's watch this news coverage, Truth Seeker, and then we'll break it down some more.
On Wednesday, July 18th, the attention of the world focused with disbelief here in the border town of San Ysidro. Today, this is the only reminder of what happened on this spot, but the memories will haunt us forever. Let's go back to that night and Marty Levine.
Shortly before 4 o'clock this afternoon, 41-year-old James Huberty walked into the McDonald's in the 400 block of West San Ysidro Boulevard in San Ysidro. He yelled the word freeze, and then he opened fire. The terror, the tragedy, the madness which followed can really not be described. When all the shooting was over, after a member of the police SWAT team had shot and killed Huberty, 21 people were dead. Many others were injured. Many of them remain in the hospital. It was the worst multiple murder by one gunman in the history of this country.
The death toll started at 6, then 10, 20, and climbing. By 4:15, a virtual army of police and rescue personnel had crowded the main street through this border town. Suddenly, a shot was fired. Police radio screamed, "He's down, he's down, the suspect's down." James Huberty had fallen to a SWAT sharpshooter's bullet. One single bullet killed the man who had apparently systematically fired, loaded, and reloaded his weapon to kill all those people. It all happened in about an hour. No one can explain why.
It's a very, very sad thing, and such a waste of human life that you just cannot comprehend it. It doesn't look real.
There is only one sure fact. The man was charged, convicted, sentenced, and executed by the split-second thunder of a police sharpshooter's bullet. That image, too, will echo through this neighborhood forever. sent the blood to the operating room, all right? Bye. I need a warm blanket.
Right about here. That comes in one way.
Hey, Ron, talk to me. Talk to me now. You're not talking anymore. Ron, put your arms down by your side. You're doing fine.
At UCSD, they say the timing of the event could save lives. It was at an hour of the day when they were at full staff, and the patients were staggered enough to allow the best care.
What can you say in a case like this? It is very difficult to be able to give them a word of comfort.
Young people gathered in the parking lot talking about their friends, what somebody had heard, rumors. For some, the ending was happy. Maria Imelda Diaz and her 2-year-old boy, Fuet, had been inside McDonald's when the shooting started. Mrs. Diaz got outside right away. Her son did not. She saw him inside, against the window, crying.
And she waved at the little boy to come out, So the little boy came out, pushed the door and came out. That's when she grabbed him and just stayed there until, they got him.
The boy got out safely. He and his mother went to the substation to be united with their anxious family.
Talking to us at a secret location, Etna Huberty built a profile of her husband as a man who himself was hurt. She said after losing his last job, his sane periods were few and far between, that he realized he was having problems, and just 2 days before the shooting spree, sought psychiatric help.
I think he called. I heard him talking to someone about it on the phone, and then he came out in the kitchen. He told me that they would call him with an appointment. He sat in a chair with the phone beside him, waiting and waiting, and no one ever called back.
2 months later, the McDonald's restaurant was stripped of its contents, the building demolished, and the land leveled. But the horror of San Ysidro would not be erased, and the question why never answered. The person whose camera recorded so much of the emotion is Scott Hall, too young to know the experiences of military combat, but permanently affected by what he saw at San Ysidro.
It was my first assignment on something like this. All I saw was black and white. On our camera, the monitor you see is black and white. You don't get the real feeling of being there in person. I don't anyway, because I'm seeing everything through the camera. It was later that I did have some real serious problems, some very strong memories of all the bodies we saw lying on the floor, of all the people rushing out, crying, screaming, just frantic. And it was a couple of days after it really happened that I finally felt the whole impact of the thing, that I started feeling guilt, and some guilt, more so anger as to why he would do all that.
All right, Truth Seeker. So there was the coverage from '84. That looked a lot like what we see today, except for they actually showed bodies. But that's the thing. For anyone who's convinced by that much evidence, think about how many bodies you've seen laying on the ground in movies. That is the trick of the camera. It is easy to create an illusion, a deception. Notice they said they tore down the McDonald's 2 days later, reminding us of what they did at Sandy Hook, where they recently hoaxed us with one of these shootings. Anyhow, let's go through this shooting piece by piece. I want to show you all that's very interesting within the coding. If you're new to my work, I teach about this language Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, and I show how all of these shootings that are waged against us in the mainstream media are propaganda for agenda. I'm not someone who's saying nothing bad happens in the world. I recognize bad things happen all the time. Those things are not reported on. What they report on in the media are contrived stories for the purpose of agenda. That is my message. This is what I'm trying to wake people up to. We are being actively deceived, and that should concern everyone. And in this work, I show exactly how they put their riddles of stories together. Oftentimes, they have a sense of humor, and oftentimes a disgusting sense of humor. I just showed the 187-day connection to the death of Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, in light of all the other 187s. And we're going to talk about it deeper in regards to this nation we live in and how it is actively hurting us in many ways, from purposeful propaganda in the media to feeding us poisonous food, such as what is served at McDonald's and the other fast food chains that have been born out of this culture. the fast food society, feeding us toxic food that is a slow death for us. Talk more about it. Anyhow, the title of this in history is known as the San Ysidro McDonald's Massacre. What's interesting is the gematria of San Ysidro's McDonald's Massacre. It sums to 99. Illinois, in simple English gematria, sums to 99, where McDonald's is headquartered. It also connects to the numerology of the date Ray Kroc died on. With the S exceptions, it also sums to 144, a special number. The phrase mark of the beast has a gematria of 144. When you sum the first 144 decimal points of pi, the number having to do with cycles and circles, if you sum the first 144 digits, it sums to 666. And again, the phrase mark of the beast equals 144. Mark of the beast refers to the number 666. In Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible, it speaks of the numbers 144 and 666. Should be noted that the word McDonald, without the S, has a gematria of 66. This shooting also came in the time of Cancer, July 18th, the astrological sign, the period of Cancer. Cancer has gematria of 44, just like the word kill. Notice also that chemo, the typical Western treatment for cancer, has a gematria of 44, the kill number. When you write out 44, it sums to 144. San Ysidro itself has gematria of 43, like the word massacre, which also shares the 43 gematria. The date numerology that it took place on, numerology of 38, a number connected to death. On December 8th, I did a tribute video for John Lennon and Dimebag Darrell. Both of them died December 8th in history. A lot of 38 coded into both of their deaths. Also a date with 47 numerology. One of these numbers we often find coded into major tragedies. A favorite number of the Zionists who control our mainstream media. The Zionist state of Israel was established in the year 47. And also a date that's important to this nation. Think about it. 4th day, 7th month. Words such as obey and authority have gematria of 47. So do judge and gavel. Special number. In the story, his name was misgiven to the public as Schuberty before they came out that it was Huberty, something that we see in today's news stories, details changing, names changing. This is something I've been documenting for 2 years in these shooting stories that are all hoaxes by these similar set of numbers. Anyhow, that first name they put out, Schuberty, had gematria of 43, just like Massacre, just like San Ysidro. Probably not a coincidence. There might be a reason that they changed the name, which we'll look at right now. James Huberty, what they went with, has gematria of 48, like the words hoax and propaganda. The big way, James Huberty sums to 147, like police. Again, it is the police departments who are oftentimes responsible for planning and executing this propaganda along with the help of the media and government. Also, the name Huberty has gematria of 99, like Illinois, also like San Ysidro McDonald's Massacre. This is how they code it, Truth Seeker. Story, location, history. Every time. Notice also that James shares that gematria of 48, like James Huberty the Small Way. Propaganda, hoax. They said 175 officers responded. This is a number that's still a bit of a mystery, but it's a number that shows up a lot in tragedy too, such as Flight 175 on September 11th. Here, 175 responding officers. They say the incident lasted for 78 minutes. That's the speed records spin at. Think of a spinning record in regards to our news and propaganda stories. Non-stop but ever increasing in their frequency. They said the victims were an 8-month-old baby to a 74-year-old. Interesting that they code 74, the word Masonic 74. San Ysidro is not far from San Diego, which has gematria of 74, right at the border